Right now, somewhere in your body, you are carrying something heavy, not a weight you can point to, not a pain with a clear cause, just a dull, quiet ache that sits behind your ribs and refuses to leave. You call it sadness. You treat it like a malfunction. You take pills for it, distract yourself from it, apologize for it, and wonder when it will finally stop. But what if it was never broken? What if that ache is the oldest, smartest survival system your body has ever built? Here is what nobody tells you. Sadness is not a flaw in the human design, it is the design. To understand why, you have to go back, not decades, not centuries. You have to go back roughly 300,000 years to the grasslands and forests where your ancestors were learning, slowly, what it meant to be human. Those early humans did not live alone, they could not. A solitary human on the African savanna was a dead human. The only thing that kept your ancestors alive was belonging to a group, being connected, being needed, being seen. Evolutionary psychologist Paul Gilbert, who spent decades studying the biological roots of emotion, argues that the social bond was not just helpful to early humans, it was a matter of life and death. Separation from the group meant exposure to predators. It meant no one to share food with when the hunt failed. It meant dying alone, cold, in the dark. Your brain learned this early. It learned it so deeply that it wired the threat of social loss directly into your pain system. That is not a metaphor. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger at the University of California, Los Angeles, ran a now-famous study using a simple computer game called Cyberball. Participants were scanned in an fMRI machine while they played a virtual ball-tossing game with what they believed were other players. At a certain point, the other players stopped throwing the ball to them. They were socially excluded, digitally, in a game that did not matter. And yet the brain scans told a different story. The same regions that activate when you feel physical pain, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula, lit up when people were excluded from a meaningless computer game. Your brain does not distinguish between a broken bone and a broken connection. To your nervous system, loneliness and heartbreak feel identical to being burned. This is why sadness hurts in your chest. This is why grief can feel like a physical wound. This is not weakness. This is ancient intelligence. But the sadness signal does more than just register pain. It was designed to change your behavior. Think about what happens when you feel genuinely, deeply sad. You slow down. You withdraw. You stop performing. You stop pretending everything is fine. You become quiet, inward, still. From the outside, this looks like giving up. But from inside an evolutionary framework, it is something else entirely. Psychologist Paul Andrews at McMaster University proposed a theory he called the analytical rumination hypothesis. His argument is striking. Depression and deep sadness, he suggests, may force the brain into a kind of focused, sustained problem-solving mode. When the cost of continued action is too high, when the social fabric has torn, when something has been lost that mattered, your system shuts down the noise and forces you to sit with the problem. Sadness makes you stop, and stopping for your ancestors was sometimes the only thing that saved them. When a member of the group died, when the food source dried up, when the winter came too fast and the plan failed. Sitting still, processing loss, conserving energy, and reevaluating the situation was not weakness. It was the strategy that let your lineage survive long enough for you to be born. Your sadness is not asking you to give up. It is asking you to pay attention. There is something else happening in the sad brain that your ancestors could not have named but benefited from deeply. Charles Darwin himself noticed it. He wrote extensively about the way grief and sorrow caused the body to signal vulnerability, to display need, to communicate to others in the group. I am hurting. I need help. This is the function of the sad face, the downturned mouth, the heavy eyelids, the slow voice. These are not random byproducts of feeling bad. They are a broadcast. Researcher Jonathan Rottenberg at the University of South Florida has spent years studying what he calls the functional role of negative emotion. His work suggests that displays of sadness evolved specifically to elicit care from others. When you look sad, you are sending a signal that has been recognized by human nervous systems for hundreds of thousands of years. You are saying, I am not a threat. I am vulnerable. Come closer. Help me. In a world without language, without hospitals, without therapists or support groups, the sad signal was how your ancestors asked for help, and it worked. Because humans who responded to that signal, who moved toward their grieving companions rather than away from them, built stronger bonds, stronger groups, and ultimately stronger bloodlines. Your capacity to feel sadness is inseparable from your capacity to connect. You cannot have one without the other. Consider what gets lost when sadness is suppressed, when you numb it, when you drink over it, scroll past it, or chemically flatten it before you understand what it was trying to say. There is a growing body of research suggesting that the complete avoidance of sadness may carry its own costs. Not because grief is good for its own sake, but because the signal was designed to move through you, not be buried inside you. Jonathan Rottenberg found that people who allow themselves to fully experience sadness and express it tend to recover from loss more completely than those who suppress or mask the emotion. The system works when you let it run. The message was never stay sad forever. The message was stop, feel this, let people see you feel this. Then, when the signal has done its work, move forward. And here is the part that changes everything. That dull ache behind your ribs right now? It is not malfunctioning. It is not evidence that something is wrong with you. It is your 300,000-year-old nervous system doing exactly what it was built to do. It is telling you that something matters, that a connection is at risk or has been lost, that the situation requires your full attention, that you are human enough to be hurt, and therefore human enough to be helped. Sadness is the price of caring, and caring, as Paul Gilbert spent his career showing, is the thing that kept your entire species alive. Tonight, when the weight behind your ribs shows up again, you do not have to fight it. You do not have to explain it away or hurry past it. You can sit with it for a moment and understand what it is. It is the oldest part of you, doing the oldest job it has ever known, keeping you alive by reminding you that you were never meant to do this alone.